Hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel if you're new. My name is Laura. Hi, hello, welcome. Today we are talking / witnessing all things Yuka palette today. I am super excited. I decided to kind of film 5 looks centered around the 5 different shimmers that are in the Yuka palette, just as some inspiration if you guys don't know what to do or if you want some inspo on like some color combinations in this palette. I kept it really probably pretty easy to follow. In the look portion of the video, there's going to be no talking. I kind of do also minimal editing too, so I wanted to show you guys like the looks. Like you'll see how many times I dip into things. It's sped up, but you'll like kind of see how many times I dip into shades. There's going to be the shades in the corner over here. I tried to make this a pretty thorough like look video. A couple things that I want to note though, and just like my general thoughts on this palette is, one, perfect. It's a perfect palette in my opinion. I even showed my husband. I was like, look at this color story. He goes, that's a U palette. And agreed, it totally is. I will say a lot of the shimmers end up looking really the same on the eye. If I'm being really honest, a lot of them have the same kind of flip to them, but they have different base notes, if that makes sense. Like Plantasia up here is definitely more of that like orangey kind of base duochrome or like multi-chrome flippy kind of thing. This is very similar, although they look so different in the pan. This has a like kind of teal green base to it with that reflective shift. This has like a transparent base, so it's just kind of the shift. That's actually what I have on my lid today, but I have Makia also on it, and they look pretty darn similar. Same thing with Komorebi. This shade up here, they all kind of look very similar. They all have very similar flips. The one shade that I was like, I don't know if it really fits in this palette. I still don't think it really fits in the palette, is Elysian here. However, it's so different inside of the palette that it makes it like, it makes the palette more versatile in my opinion. So now I also was very surprised. I think, well, the first look is definitely my favorite look that I've put that I'm wearing in the video. I really like this one. I also really liked, I want to say it's my 4th look. I did a really orange based look with these guys. I really liked that one. I'll have the looks go up on the screen really quick so you guys can see the different looks. That way you can click the timestamps if you're only interested in one, or if you only want to see one look, or if you want to see like how to use a certain shade in the palette, you can go to that look and kind of get an idea. I really like this shade Willow. I've worn it as a eyeliner in 2 of the looks, but it's really pretty all over the lid, especially with Makia up here topped on top of it. Really love it. I absolutely love these like mustardy, olivey, like kind of pukey colors. They're so perfect. I really just love this palette. I really love this color story. I will say I was actually somewhat disappointed in one of the cream to powders. This guy here, Fushi, it was a little bit more firm and a little more patchy than some of the other cream to powders that I've used in the past. But once you kind of, maybe it's like I swatched it and there was like a top layer of my oil on top of it. But once I kind of used a brush and really zhuzhed it out, it worked a lot better. That being said, I don't know how to pronounce these names. Calathea, I don't know. That's another cream to powder. I think that one works a little bit better than Fushi down here. Maybe that like Kraft mac and cheese orange just is a more difficult kind of shade. I don't know how, because I feel like oranges aren't that difficult, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. I think it's beautiful. Do I think that this is a new and revolutionary color story? No, this is a very trendy color story. However, this is like utter perfection. if you were wanting to shop indie rather than like more of a mainstream, especially like this high price point, definitely try the Menagerie. Oh my gosh, it's the one with the lions on it. I'll have a picture of it. Go here. I might say if you want to stick to indie and you want to support like a small business, maybe shop that palette rather than this one. Whatever the one with the lions on it. Or the Nomad 𝐒𝐚𝐽𝐵𝐺 Safari palette is a similar color story. This is a very trendy color story right now, is all I'm saying. But Natasha's formula does not disappoint me. And I will say this shade is the best version of this shade that I've used by far. The Prism palette had a shade like this. I have a shade by ColourPop called Keep Scrolling that's similar. It's definitely more like winter green, like winter mint, versus this guy. And maybe it's just the packaging that makes me think that this one's a little bit more yellow. So another thing to note is I do have a couple eyeliners, not a couple eyeliners. I do have an eyeliner that I kind of wanted to compare in the first look, and it's these guys here. This is the LA Girl Shockwave liner in Screamin', and then this is the new Natasha Denona shade in Camu Camu that goes with that shade in here. Camu Camu is definitely a little bit more green leaning, but if you have this, or if you're like, I don't want to spend $20-something on an eyeliner, this gets the job done. I actually feature that in my first look. I compare them side by side. That is the Natasha Denona shade underneath it. So you can definitely see LA Girl is more like primary yellow versus Camu Camu has a little bit more of like a chartreusey element to it. But on the lids, on the waterline, it's gonna be the same thing. Also, I feel like you don't need to get her teal eyeliner. LA Girl makes another teal one. This is the shade Dragon, and that's what I have in my waterline today. And it's just a really pretty teal shade. Again, it doesn't break the bank, so I don't think that you need to go out and get the Natasha Denona one. I definitely use liners in shades like this more so as like eye bases than anything else. So I don't think you need to like dish out the price point for the Natasha Denona one. I'm just saying. It also seems a little more chalky, at least in this Camu Camu shade. And maybe that's just part of the formula of this kind of shade. When you mix those like super pastel chartreuses, it can lead a little bit more powdery is the best way that I can describe it, I guess. Like a little drier than how creamy these guys were. I'm super excited to share the 5 looks I created using the Natasha Denona Yucca palette. Again, I do a look per shade, at least a look per like shimmer, and I've definitely reached for every shade in this palette. All of them are beautiful. I really, really like all of them. Sometimes the cream to powder is just like, for me at least, the top layer needs to get worn off and then it's like even better. But let's just dive into the looks. I'm not going to dilly-dally too long. Thank you guys so much for watching the 5 looks using my Natasha Denona Yucca palette. You're going to have to let me know which look is your favorite. I definitely think the first look and then the orange look are my favorites. I love it. I love this palette. So I'm really happy that I ended up collecting it. I'm really happy that I ended up spending the points on it and grabbing this palette at launch. I'm so happy with it. So happy with it. Even this, like, this isn't my favorite look that I did, but it's still pretty. It's still my colors. It's still like super pretty. Also, I think one of the unsung heroes in the palette is the shade Acacia. It is so pretty. It is the perfect amount of brown and an olive where I could use that, blend it all over the lid and like go on my day, and that would be like a nice one and done matte kind of look for me. I like that these kind of tones bring out like the hazily green in my eyes. I think this palette just really brings my eye color out too. So if you have like hazel eyes that kind of change color depending on what you wear, maybe this is a good palette for you, because it might bring some more of those olive tones out in your eyes. I know it did for me. But that is it for this 5 looks 1 palette using the Yucca palette. Thank you guys so much again for watching this video, sticking around. I would love to know again what your favorite look is. Do you guys have the Yucca palette? What is your favorite colors to pair together? Or maybe you need to reach into other palettes to get some more inspiration on the Yucca palette. What are some color combinations that you like to pair with something like this? I would love to know in the comment section below. And until my next video, I hope you guys are staying happy, sane, and safe.